Cybercrimes turn the digital realm into a battleground, and lines of codes become the sharpest swords. With every episode, we've unmasked a different type of cyber attack, and our focus now shifts to one of the most notorious cyber scams that there is: ransomware. Not only can it ruin the lives of individuals or spell doom for large organizations, it can also bring the mightiest of governments down to their knees, even without a single bullet fired. From the colonial pipeline attack that led to an emergency declaration from US President Joe Biden, to Russia's NotPetya attack on Ukraine that caused an estimated $10 billion loss across the world, the stakes in ransomware attacks are as high as they get. Attackers are the modern-day pirates sailing through networks, seeking treasure in the form of encrypted data, and often use sophisticated techniques to sneak into systems. But sometimes the bait is disguised as mails offering discount offers or coupon codes, and a simple click can compromise the entire infrastructure. In this episode, we will dissect real case studies, hear first-hand accounts, and equip you with the knowledge and tools to protect yourself against these cyber predators.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Mirror Now Against Cyber Scam. I'm your host Ashish Parekh, and on Mirror Now we always say it's you first. And with every single episode in this series, in this special series, we have been bringing different types of cyber crimes, the tricks that are used by cyber fraudsters, and also the remedial measures as suggested by industry experts. In this episode in particular, we will be discussing about a notorious type of cyber crime that has not just spelled doom for industries, it has not just ruined the lives of individuals, but also it has brought the biggest of governments down to their knees. Well, I'm talking about ransomware, and to discuss that in detail, right now joining me in the studio is Avinash Jain, who is a security head, and he's also been a former product security engineer, manager in fact, at Microsoft. Also joining me live are Anuj Agarwal, who's a cyber security expert, and Shrey Mishra, who's a co-founder and director at XR Central. Avinash, I'll start with you first. We are talking about ransomware. Now, this is one particular type of cybercrime that needs a lot of technical advancement to execute, and also to defend. Also, it needs a certain level of advancement. Give us a sense, help our viewers understand what is ransomware and also how is it executed.
Yeah, firstly, the concept of ransomware is nothing new. It has been there for ages. Technically, ransomware is just a malicious program which is designed in a way to do some malicious stuff, like blocking access to your systems, to your devices, to your computer, or encrypting your files, documents, or photos.
Right.
And in exchange of that, they basically demand ransom, which is money, and that is what made it a ransomware attack. In this digital world, you can call it as a digital extortion or digital blackmailing scheme, where this hacker or this attacker put a digital padlock on your sensitive information or your servers, blocking its access. And again, in exchange of that, they demand a lot of money and a ransom to get it back. How to us? The main motive of this for these hackers is to make those malicious programs get executed in your device or onto your servers. Once that malicious program get executed, it's all done. They have the control of your complete device. They can do whatever they want.
So basically you're saying people just get into your house, lock you outside, and then if you want to allow them inside, they have to pay you a certain amount. Now that's the basic crux of it. I'll take that point across to Anuj Agarwal. Anuj, help us understand what kind of entities execute this, because ransomware, when you hear about this, it's much more larger and much more advanced compared to your regular OTP scams and other scams which are executed in the cyber realm. Give us a sense of the kind of companies, the kind of entities, the kind of hacker groups that actually go ahead and execute these scams.
See, ransomware are usually executed by international and larger groups because they take hostage the entire organization. Like we had a recent attack on AIMS in Delhi, where the entire operations came to an halt. Now, when these people attack the larger organization, they ask for a very large ransom. Now, this large ransom is paid through typically Bitcoin, etc., the cryptocurrencies. and these are withdrawn through multiple countries. It is not only that they will locally ask and take it out. So similar these ransomware attacks require a lot of technical prowess also. It is not that social engineering that you call up and make fool of somebody and take his OTP and probably scam a lakh of rupees here and there. These kind of attacks are usually mounted for a million plus target. So the target is also very sophisticated, the tools are sophisticated, and the gang is also typically international gang, so that they can withdraw money in across the countries and keep themselves away from the law enforcement. So that's why this is something very, very nefarious, very serious, and countries after countries and law enforcement after law enforcement, including Interpol, they are really wary of these kind of attacks.
Right. I'll take that point across to Shrey Mishra also, who's live right now with us. Shrey, help us understand the kind of people who are targeted, because usually when we talk about ransomware, the general idea is that it's the large entities, it's the government, it's the big organizations that are usually targeted. But we've also seen multiple cases where individuals who probably have a lot to lose are also targeted. So is this again a sort of a cyber attack that is limited to companies and industries, or again individuals, people like you and me, are also potential targets?
I certainly agree. I mean, apart from large organizations, a lot of individuals are definitely, vulnerable for such attacks, because when you think of very simple things like, for example, games, so a lot of times people just think that, you know what, it just seems like a very harmless game. Let me just download it. And a lot of times that's where the nefarious thing can happen, that a malware is being installed or a backdoor, a worm is being installed on your phone, right? And then as soon as it's installed, we allow it all the access, right? And then as soon as we've allowed that access, uh, you know, uh, it can be extremely dangerous. So I think we operate in that realm where, while you don't want to be too touchy-feely about the fact that you need to install stuff, but then that's also some place where you need to be extremely careful as to who are you providing that access to, and the likes. I think that's what I would like to say. So yes, there are a lot of larger players at stake, and once they have access, like Sir mentioned, then you have larger players at stake, be it across different geographies, and then they can deal in crypto and the likes. Yes.
Right, gentlemen. Now that we have the premise understood as far as ransomware is concerned, the type of attacks that happened, the kind of players that are attacked, and also the kind of individuals that are at play as well, the people who execute these attacks. Avinash, help us understand what are the common methods in which these attacks are executed. Now, I understand the complexity of the attacks differs, whether it's an organization or an individual, but give us a sense as to the general tricks that are used by cyber criminals to execute a ransomware attack.
See, the most prevalent measures, the way used by these attackers to get into a laptop or execute their stuff is through nicely looking mails. You wake up in the morning, see that you got a mail which is you have won a lottery or you have won an iPhone. And as a human, we have a tendency to get excited very quickly, and that is where these attackers play with you. And unknowingly, you click on those links or you download those attachments. Once they get downloaded, it is all done. Your complete control of your laptop or of your device or of your data is completely gone to those hackers. And it's not just this attachment. Even a site which is looking very a genuine site, looking like a legitimate of any duplicate of any permanent company. It may be a phishing page which is just intimating our original website, and you go there, you see a lot of ad, and which is called basically in security malvertising. You saw those ads, you click on one of those ads, and what it does, it basically downloading some virus onto your laptop and doing all this malicious stuff like encrypting your files, documents. So these are the very common measures, common ways being used. They are more technically advanced ways that are still being used by hackers. Like if I have to give you an example, one of the ways is removable pen drives.
Removable pen drives.
Yeah,
Okay.
remote pen drives or media. You are walking on a street and you found a nicely innocent looking pen drive. And you
Okay.
get back home, you plug that, and what it does is basically again it installs some software onto a laptop
We've also
without
seen some
knowledge.
videos of people charging their phones in public spaces, and then they
Absolutely.
find out that their information is stolen. Does that also happen?
Absolutely, yeah. That's what external media means.
Okay.
So people unknowingly they plug all those public adapters or those medias or USBs, and they don't know what's happening inside their laptop. So what exactly was going on is that some malicious software got downloaded into a laptop, and your data, your laptop, your access is at the stake.
Right. Anuj, this is a very scary prospect, the fact that I could just be sitting there at an airport terminal, charging my laptop, and the next thing I know, all my personal photos and videos are uploaded on the internet. So again, that brings us to the question that how much of a ransomware attack is technical, and also how much of it is manipulation of a person into doing something that allows you the network access. Again, we're talking about a lot of people, a lot of organizations that might have the biggest types of cybersecurity infrastructure in place, but if an employee from within the system allows the hackers inside, then there's no point to anything.
Rightly said. The technical measures are only useful when people who are using it, especially the employees, the last mile, what we can say, they are following it meticulously. As happened in the Panchabati, the Lakshman Rekha was among the best protections available at that time. But what happened when the person inside Ma Sita herself opened the door, came out, and so all that security measures of no use if the people who are supposed to follow certain discipline, if they are not doing it. Phishing is still one of the best methods used by the hackers or even the ransomware players to penetrate into the networks, which is more of a social engineering than a technical hack, honestly speaking. But once that email or the message which they send, which is looking very interesting, which has some sort of a video or a offer of 90% on iPhone or something like this, and people use it, open it, and that malware gets inserted into the network, the device, and after that, once that is there, the door can be opened from inside, which leads to data being stolen, which leads to the entire data being encrypted, and of course then a huge demand for the ransom coming in. So technical measures are good till the time the people who are supposed to implement, use, because after all the security is for the people in the organization. We are not closing our organization. Nobody is closing our organization. The best security would have been if you put these steel walls, the cement walls around your organization, and nothing is coming in, nothing is going out. But that's not the way we do business. Nobody can do business like that. So of course there are enough ways and means by which the communication is coming in and going out. But the filters are useful only when people are diligent and they are avoiding unnecessary messages, emails, etc. being used on the network, and not letting those malicious items coming in through pen drive or any such thing. It's very, very important.
And Avinash, I believe you've run a lot of these mock drills wherein you've carried out such mock attacks on organizations, tried to help them understand what are the loopholes they need to fix. Help us understand what is the sort of sensitization that needs to happen as far as the employees are concerned, and also in your recent interactions with the companies and your mock drills, what is the one thing that you found out wherein a lot of employees end up actually letting hackers into the system?
Absolutely. See, in the cybersecurity chain, humans are the weakest links, and that is what this attacker targets.
That's an interesting statement. In the cybersecurity link, humans are the weakest links.
And they are also the first line of defense.
Okay.
So until unless you do not secure your first line of defense, it will always allow these attackers or hackers to get into your systems or firewall or network.
Right.
So recently I carried out a mock drill just to know how people react to such kind of mail which comes from unknown sources, or maybe sources which are known but those are phishing mails. And surprisingly, more than 90% people fall to those mail.
More than 90% of the people in your tests actually fell for this.
Exactly. And this is not just technical guys. This also includes non-technical people, common people. And anyone can fall to those mails which looks like coming from a prominent figure, but it is just a phishing mail. the source has been impersonated, the email ID has been changed to a authorized person, and the mail looks like that it has come from their own employees or their friends or their circles.
Right.
And that is where human just fall into. And this is not just limited to ransomware attacks, but all the vectors of cybersecurity attack. The most widespread source is this email or phishing mails through which people get interacts, download some attachment, or maybe click on some links, and they just lost the access of their system.
Okay. A very interesting point that Avinash is making there, that the fact that humans are the first line of defense when it comes to cybersecurity, and they're also the weakest links, especially when it comes to ransomware attacks. Let me go across to Shrey on this. Shrey, we are talking about how these attacks happen, how people are targeted, what exactly happens after the attack. Help us understand the kind of remedial measures that can be put into place. Like, for example, if I am a person, I figure out, or if I'm in an organization that is undergoing a ransomware attack, what's the next step? Like, we of course see a lot of cyber laws in India, and to be honest, a lot of them are very obscure, and for common people, it's almost impossible to understand most of it, and a lot of people struggle during that golden hour. They're not able to seek help when the crucial minutes are being lost. Help us understand the kind of steps that organizations and then also individuals can take after they realize that they have already been subjected to a ransomware attack.
Right. So I think when it comes to a lot of these ransomware attacks, you very rightly pointed out the golden hour, right? So I think a lot of those things we've covered in the session right now, where the last link is you. So the awareness needs to be there. The fact that if there are similar attacks happening, so that kind of awareness needs to be there. So, for example, if the attack is spreading through, let's say through some spoofing links or phishing links of sorts. So that's I would say the first bit, which is extremely important to be careful about. And I would say it starts with the individual, so that if the individuals are careful, then of course it sort of stems it down. And then of course from an enterprise level, if there are measures which are taken which are spread across the enterprise. So for example, it's very commonplace nowadays in consulting companies not to use or block the pen drives, right, the USB sticks. But so that's something which is very, very commonplace. But I think what to do about the links which are spread on even platforms, social media platforms as well, right? So I think awareness is the key here.
Sure, my question specifically was about the steps that organizations and individuals can take after they are subjected to the attack. Now, for example, reporting is a problem across India when it comes to cyber laws. Even on OTP frauds or your regular social engineering attacks that happen, people are usually clueless about what to do. They might go to a police station where, again, even the cops there are not really, they do not really have the technical know-how of how to handle these attacks. So what's the next step of action? How does one report a ransomware attack to the authorities?
Would you like me to answer this? Because I keep on handling.
I was asking that question to you about how does one report the attack?
So we have a helpline called 1930. This is the first line of action everybody should take. And more so when you are in a financial kind of a distress or financial kind of a problem. And then for a detailed reporting, cybercrime.gov.in is the portal run by the Ministry of Home on which the detailed complaint can be made. But for viewers, it is also important to know that you can go and report to any nearest police station. And in most of the states, for example, Maharashtra or Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, they have now got cyber thanas. So designated police stations to report the cyber crimes, where people are typically better trained. I will say not fully trained, but they are definitely better trained. And they are able to understand and handle these kind of situations where they can do some guidance. That if you have suffered this kind of an attack and you are completely out of your system, or somebody is reaching out to you for a huge ransom, because there is no guarantee that even if a ransom is paid, the system can be restored by those people. So one has to have complete discretion and probably law enforcement on their side before paying any kind of a money. Paying 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 50 lakh is a different matter. But even after paying, if you're not getting any kind of a relief, because you are dealing with criminals, So dealing with criminals is there is no honesty or there is no honor for those people. So it is better to involve law enforcement agencies right away. And even if such kind of a negotiation has to happen for any reason, they must be fully aware. And in any case, it is illegal to pay these criminals through bitcoins or some other illegal means, because they typically demand ransom through Bitcoin or some other kind of a cryptocurrency, or some other illegal means. I mean, I can't really explain you these things here, but these are all illegal means.
Now, for example, let's assume that your company has been breached, or the cybersecurity has been breached, and the hackers take money from you, and they manage to restore it as well. What's the guarantee that they will not come back? Because if they manage to breach into your systems once, they probably have seen a loophole that you haven't. So what's the risk there for organizations and also for people, so that this particular attack does not happen again and again? Because there's, again, once if there's an attack, there is a likelihood that they'll come back again.
Absolutely. One of the measures that we missed talking about, through which this ransomware attack usually happen, is through unpatched softwares.
Unpatched software.
Exactly.
Okay.
We are surrounded by so many IoT devices, from smart watch to smart television to smartphones. And day to day we use laptops and browsers. If they are not updated to the latest version, there's always a risk that a potential security vulnerability present in those unpatched versions can be exploited by those hackers sitting outside, and they can get into your network. And I think this was the main reason of the famous ransomware attack happened in the year 2017, which is called WannaCry ransomware attack, which impacted more than 150 countries and more than 2 lakhs of laptops and computer devices. Yeah. So that become one of the sources where corporates should focus upon. As corporates, as companies are growing, their infrastructure is also growing, and as their infrastructure is growing, their unmanaged unmanaged devices, servers are increasing, and they do not take care of patching up to their latest versions, and this is through where these ransomware attacks can easily happen, because the public exploit is available on public internet.
Right. Avinash, you're talking about unpatched software, right? Also, let's talk about people who go ahead and download software which has a crack code from third-party applications, because a lot of softwares give you features which are paid. So a lot of people download these crack softwares which helps them get the feature without paying the money. While on one hand, it is very useful for them. They don't have to spend any extra bucks, but also it can be very costly when it comes to losing out on your security. So what are the websites and what are the measures that one can take while downloading softwares as well, to ensure that they do not download anything that has potentially some sort of a bug that is attached to it?
First of all, nothing is free. If you are downloading anything for free, they might be using your data. So
you're saying if it's free, it's dangerous.
Absolutely. And if it seems too shiny and too good, it can be a false thing. So people have to take care that they are not downloading any such kind of cracked softwares or unlicensed softwares from unauthorized websites. Google has Play Store, from where you can download Android apps. Apple has their own stores from where you can download iOS apps. So
right.
People have to use those authorized sources, those trusted stores from where they can download those softwares, those tools. And talking about free softwares, people generally, companies do give you free tools, free services, or free antiviruses. But in the exchange of that, they take your data. And data, as we said, data is the new oil. That is what that is all you are exchanging your data with.
Right. So that's the key takeaway right now, that if it's too good to be true, it's possibly too good to be true. And your data is, of course, at risk all the time. And if any software that you download is giving you free access, circumventing the already existing security infrastructure, then that could potentially mean that you're putting not just yourself, but also your sensitive photos, videos, and data at risk, just to save a few bucks. Appreciate you, gentlemen, joining us for this very important discussion. So the key takeaway, of course, from this discussion on ransomware attacks is the fact that on one hand, while we talk about ransomware attacks, a lot of high-end software or a lot of high-end techniques are used to prevent these attacks, also to cause these attacks. Even general public, even something as simple as you plugging your laptop to some random port on an airport terminal, that could also end up leaking out your data. So again, at the end of the day, the whole point of the point of the discussion here, and from what we've gathered, is the fact that while humans are the most important first line of defense in cybersecurity, they're also the weakest links when it comes to the cybersecurity chain. So at the end of the day, while technical attacks can be prevented by experts, there are technical teams at the end of the day. If you are an individual who's going out there downloading software, using internet and doing everything online, just make sure that you follow the basic norms that are in place so that you do not put your data, your security at risk, but also the security of your organization. Appreciate you joining us for this special discussion on ransomware, on cyber attacks. We'll be back in the next episode with another interesting topic where we'll, of course, discuss the same things, but with a different insight and with a different depth of knowledge of our experts.